Well, joining us this morning for today's Wildlife is Jennifer Jackson from Idaho Fish and Game, and she's actually going to tell us about how they're needing some information on a pretty cruel and honestly, I think it's a pretty cold incident that happened here in Pocatello. So tell us what happened.
Well, we received several calls over the weekend, as did the Pocatello Animal Shelter, and it was regarding a goose that had been shot with an arrow, and it was discovered at Sacagawea Park. It was still alive and basically flying around and trying to live with this arrow stuck in its neck. So we arrived at the site. Our officers did. They tried to catch the goose. It was very mobile and would constantly retreat to the refuge of the river, making it very difficult to catch with nets, with anything we tried. So finally Monday morning, one of our officers had to put it down, which was a very tragic and extremely sad end for this goose, and very, very unavoidable if people would just, leave these animals alone.
Now, some people may think this, it's just a goose, it's just a bird. Well, you were telling me just a little bit ago, this is actually some big charges you can face if you pull stuff like this.
That's correct. First of all, it's not just a goose. If it was just a goose, then people wouldn't care. And we all care, the personnel at Fish and Game as well as the people in this community care about our wildlife. And we're entrusted with managing wildlife. And part of that includes finding people that mistreat and are unethical in the way they behave with wildlife. In this particular case, the charges they could face would be city, state, and federal charges because they were discharging a weapon within city limits, which is against city ordinance. They were committing state and federal charges by taking a goose out of season, wasting game. Just because they're protected by the Migratory Bird Act, there's federal charges as well. So the person or people that are responsible for this could face up to $1,000 in penalties, 6 months in jail, 3 years revocation of a hunting license. So it's pretty serious charges and penalties for this act.
And you're mentioning that this is kind of a problem you see on kind of a regular basis.
Unfortunately, we see this problem at places like Sacagawea Park and some of our remote parks and nature areas because they are a little bit more hidden. They are very well attended by people. We do have witnesses that call us, and unfortunately, frequently, and telling us about some of the incidents they're seeing. And the other reason why it's problematic in our parks, some of our parks, is because animals become accustomed to people, especially those animals that get fed by people. Ducks and geese are commonly fed with bread and grain and whatever else. And the side effect of that is that these animals trust people and can be lured in using that very same tactic so that people can harm them if they choose. And
real quick, where should people go to turn over information if they have any? Who should they call?
Absolutely. On any wildlife violation, especially this one, we're looking for information. We'd like you to call the Pocatello Fish and Game office at 232-4703. You can also contact Citizens Against Poaching. They have a hotline. You can remain anonymous. That number is 1-800-632-5999. That number is also on our website at Fish and Game.
All right. Well, thank you very much for stopping by this morning, and good luck catching whoever's responsible.
Well, thanks for help getting the word out.